a very, very special atmosphere to generate momentums. So let's go. I encourage everybody to go there tomorrow to play the game with us, not to be there watching it, but to play the game with us.
Hi, Mikel. How are you?
I'm very good.
How do you've got a team full of experienced players, but how do you convince them tomorrow to play the game and not the occasion?
I think they are convinced. If I have to convince them, I think we have a problem. It's the level of conviction, regardless what happens and any context that we have to play throughout this time. But they know exactly what they have to do.
When you're playing a team with so many household names, but you obviously also got household names, how much do you try and impress upon your players? Don't worry about who's in the white shirt opposite you. Don't worry that it's Mbappe or Bellingham or whoever, Vinicius Junior, whoever. Just worry about yourselves and show them how good you are.
Well, there are things that we cannot control, which is what they're going to prepare or what they can do. We have to focus, and our energy has to be on that, understanding what pushes in our strengths, how we put it in our weakness, and the direction that we want to play in the game.
Finally, from me, obviously, 2 legs, so this is the first half. Second half is away. How important is it that you go to Madrid with a lead? I mean, tomorrow you don't want to lose, obviously, but how important is it you actually win tomorrow and win well so you're set up for the second half?
Very important, but it will be just the first legs, as you mentioned. So obviously the intention of the team is very clear. What we want to achieve tomorrow, and we're going to go for it.
August 2021, Martin Odegaard committed to a long-term contract with Arsenal after a loan spell with Real Madrid. How important has he been to shaping Mikel Arteta's mentality and leading your team through this period?
Well, I think it's very important for the football club because we recruited a player that fits every quality to deliver performances and the demands that we want, and then the person that is an exceptional representative of the values of this football club, our history, and obviously pivotal from where we were to where we are, the role that he's played and how much he has contributed to be playing where we are at the moment.
You grew up through La Masia, the Basque region where you come from. Is this the key test for you? Is this one of the biggest matches of your coaching career, the mantle of Real Madrid?
Well, it is one of the most special things. I mean, it's a competition that we're waiting for many, many years. The fact that we've only been twice at this stage in 15 years with the size of Arsenal Football Club tells you the difficulty of that. And we're going to, as I said, create our own story and go even further. And tomorrow is a beautiful opportunity to all of us.
Hi, Miguel. Wanted to ask you about Jurriën Timber. Is he fit enough to start? And you've placed him in so many different positions this season. What does it say about him as a player, and how great is it for you that he is so multifunctional?
Incredible. I mean, probably nobody realized the player that we signed till he stepped through that door and started to show every quality that he has on the human side again, because he's a leader. He had a really tough start, having a really difficult injury, almost a year out, and then to do what he's been doing this season is just remarkable. As you mentioned, different position with different demands, always so consistent, and hopefully tomorrow he will be in the best condition to play the game.
Thank you.
Miguel,
Hi.
Does an attack with Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham demand a special plan, or one of the best defenses in Europe that you have is already for this battle?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with the individual quality that they have, especially when you put them in certain situations, you know the danger that you are facing. But that's the stages. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that. That's why consistently they've been doing what they've been doing in this competition, is that they can create those moments. And when it comes to the bigger stage, individual performance, play can decide the games, are critical for your success, and obviously something that we have to prevent for sure.
Hi, Mikel. You
Hi.
mentioned how there maybe hasn't been a game like this for 20 years for Arsenal. Well, 20 years ago, Arsenal played Real Madrid in the Champions League 2006. There were some similar circumstances, a lot of injuries for Arsenal at that time, a lot of unusual defence in some respects. Does that game serve as a reference for you at all, and can it be an inspiration for your players tomorrow night?
Well, it's an inspiration for sure, because as well, that generation, what they achieved is what we want to achieve, certainly. very different. 20 years, a long time in football, very different context. But the history is there. Unfortunately, it's too far to be very relative to the situation that we are in. But there are things to take from there and be inspired for sure.
For yourself, as a Spaniard, does this fixture have like a special significance for you? Your history, of course, with Barcelona as well. I mean, it must mean a lot to you.
It does mean, obviously, and it's a club that has set new standards in world football. That's what they've done it more than anybody else. So that's an inspiration from any manager, any club. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to belong, and these opportunities have to be taken in order to go in that direction.
James, ESPN.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Obviously, last season was the first time in, I think it was 14 years, that you got to the Champions League quarter-finals. How do you think the team's developed since then? Do you think they're in a better place mentally to cope with the pressure of this kind of game now?
I think we are, and building those experiences is something necessary. That's why I said that we have to build our own story, because, as you said, there is a massive gap there of so many years when nothing has happened in this football club in relation to European competitions, and we need to change that, and we need to change that quickly.
Do you think when you sort of look back on that final tie, do you feel the team didn't maybe express themselves as they could have done because of the occasion, and that they will learn from that this time?
Especially moments in the second leg, because there were moments in the first leg, especially in the first half, where we absolutely had them, and we have to utilize those moments, be ruthless, and you have to put the game to bed, and we didn't. And on top of that, we gave them 2 goals, and we make life much more difficult for us on the return leg in Munich.
Okay, guys, we'll take 2 more questions in English before we move to Spanish questions. Let's go to Simon.
Mikel,
Hi.
just on Real Madrid, the sort of aura in the Champions League around pedigree, being able to win games. How psychologically do you prepare the players for that and not have them looking at this team who sort of can pull off miracles when they're down and out?
But that's the history, and they have earned that. That's because the mindset that they have. So you can ignore that. That's a fact. I don't want to be talking about it because we all know about it. So let's talk about what we have to build and what we have to do, and how we can feel inspired as well from these occasions, and just as well look at what we do, and the fact that they haven't been successful all the time, because it's impossible. So from 20 times, maybe you win 5. That means that you haven't won the rest of the 15. So it's very difficult to do it. And we're in a position that we have competed against any team in the last 2 years that we have faced. So we can do it again.
Hi, Mikel. I'll take you back just briefly to Eindhoven. When we were watching the players warm up, it was a stadium full of people shouting for their team in a big game. Do you dream of the Emirates being a place tomorrow night where your players are just, not before they're playing, but warming up and also having that type of atmosphere?
I hope. I encourage them to come very early to the warm-up and create those nights that we haven't lived many of those at the Emirates. So that's an opportunity again. When we have built history, we have to build moments, and a moment is being built with our people. And we have to create that energy, that belief, that enthusiasm to play every single action there, because the bonus, the confidence that gives you, there is nothing else that we can replicate, that I can tell the players constantly to maintain that throughout the 95 minutes that the game is going to be played.
Okay, we'll now take some questions in Spanish. So have your headsets for the translation.
Hello, Mikel. How are you? We're talking a lot about set pieces in this game. Your team is very strong on set pieces, and Real Madrid have conceded a lot of goals from set pieces. Do you think that they'll have a big role to play? Of course. Yeah. Set pieces have resulted in 33% of our goals have come from them, so they can be a really decisive role in any game. They're a real weapon for us and for our football club. We're talking, if you're looking at Ancelotti, he's a big inspiration. Would you see that same? Yeah, absolutely. Ancelotti's a huge inspiration. He's the coach who has the best history, in Champions League. He's done more than anyone else. He can help players win games. He's done it in so many different countries. He's shown what he can do. I think his, tranquility, his human side is a big inspiration for the players, and that really helps a lot of players. And especially in Real Madrid, it's a team where there's a lot of pressure, and he does a really good job of fulfilling the role of a coach and being a role model for the players. How do you prepare the team to go up against Real Madrid in the Champions League? It's part of their history, it's part of our history. We have to write our own history. The quality that the opponent have, Real Madrid, they have enormous quality. We've seen that plenty of times, but we have to focus on our thing. They can hurt us a lot, but they do have weaknesses, and there are ways that we can hurt them. Madrid lost at the weekend to Valencia. Are you happy to be facing Madrid in a moment like this, when perhaps they're wobbling a little bit? I can only analyse Real Madrid in the situation that I'm going to face them. It could be something that helps us, but we can't really control or expect anything but the best opposition. Everything that might come after, we'll just see what happens. Hi, Mikel. You were commenting on Miguel Merino. Ancelotti won the Premier League a few years ago in England. Do you think not having such a profile in Spain could help you in Spain, because there's not as much pressure? I've been in England for a long time now. I've won things as a coach, and it's normal that there's more of a profile here and not in Spain, but it's Real Madrid have won the Champions League 15 times. How do you prepare your players to go up against a club like that? With a lot of hope, and we're fully convinced that we can get a result, that we can do it. We need to be convinced that we can do it. And, we'll have the moments where we can do that. We need to just enjoy it and enjoy being with our people in the stadium.
on the pitch and what he.
Just in time. Hello.
Hello, Gary.
You're back. Just in time. How frustrating, we know you love to play football, how frustrating has it been to have your first serious injury?
Yeah, it was tough for me. Came at a bad moment, but I'm just focused now on the positives, and I couldn't ask to come back at a better time of the season than now.
I know you've had some big nights. In terms of your club football, is this going to be the biggest night so far?
I think in an Arsenal shirt, it probably will be, yeah.
Because I know how important it was to you to come back. You said on social media, the reaction of the crowd against Fulham really lifted your spirits. It meant a lot to you. How important are the crowd going to be for you and the whole team tomorrow night?
Yeah, so obviously as the players, we're ready and we're up for it, but I honestly have no doubts that the fans tomorrow, they're going to be up for it also, and they're going to help create the most beautiful night that the Emirates has witnessed.
Hi, Mikel, how are you?
I'm good.
So no one wants to get injured and be out for a couple of months or whatever it is, but in hindsight, going away, holiday, bit of sun on your back, bit of R&R like the rest of us have, has it actually done you good going into this game? Do you feel fresher than nearly everyone else on the pitch tomorrow night? I mean, just talk us through what that little break did for you, even mentally.
Yeah, so I think mentally it was really good for me. Obviously, it was really tough initially to find out the extent of my injury, that I was going to have surgery. It was really tough for me to hear the news at first, but once it was done and it was successful, I was just focused on coming back stronger, and I had a lot of time. Obviously the past 5 years I've been playing game after game, so it was the first proper break I've had, and it was really good for me. I got to do a lot of things that I don't really normally do, so yeah, I feel fresh. I can give you many examples, but you will get bored. But yeah, focusing on the question, yeah, it's really nice to be back, and I feel fresh mentally for sure.
Tomorrow night we're going to see some world-class players opposite you, but also I'm going to see as well, you included. And you came through the academy at Hale End, so too as Marvelous, Kelly, Ethan Wanieri. One, have they, because you came through the academy like they did, have they asked you specifically for advice in their journey so far? And two, what does that show about this football club? The fact that while other clubs go out and cherry pick some of the best players from around the world, this club still goes back to its roots.
Yeah, that just goes back to the amazing academy we have, and the latest example is those two boys, Miles and Ethan, and how talented they both are. And yeah, I'm always there for them if they want to ask me any questions. They do sometimes they don't. But I always make myself available to them, and yeah, I'm just really proud to see the steps that they're making, and I just hope they keep grounded and keep working hard.
And the fact that the academy has brought through so many players.
Yeah, like I said, this is Arsenal. I think this is what we do. We've done it in the past, and I just hope we continue to keep doing it so we can save more money.
But you're in rehab, you're recovering, and this draw has been made. Just how much of a focal point and incentive was it to kind of almost get over the final hurdle and make sure that you're ready for arguably the biggest game of this season?
Yeah, I mean, if you ask my physios, there was a lot of conversation about this game. I'm wanting to be back, and not just back in good shape. I'm feeling good, so yeah, that's what I spent a lot of months working massively towards, and yeah, we're here now, so I'm excited.
The manager was talking about creating your own story and also not being intimidated perhaps by Madrid's history, but by the opponent. Just, can you talk a little bit about that and just kind of how much determined the players are to make their mark in the Champions League? You've done brilliantly in the last couple of seasons in the Premier League, but just how much would it mean to make a statement in Europe?
Yeah, it will mean a lot to us. The first time the club's been in the Champions League quarterfinals back to back for a while now. So yeah, tomorrow night we want to take the next step and try and get it over the line.
And what does it mean, the magic of Madrid?
Yeah, it's Madrid. You know, you have to respect that and accept what they've done in the history. But you know, tomorrow anything can happen. You know, we can't focus too much on that.
Hi, Bakari. We spoke to William recently. Naturally, I think the fans are very nervous about his contract situation. I think those same fans are very nervous about your contract situation. Could you give or say anything to help ease those nerves of the fans?
Yeah, well, for me, I want to win, and I want to win wearing this badge. So I think it's pretty clear. The fans know how much I love them, and you know, when you saw when I came on Tuesday, I think they love me back. So it's a good relationship, and yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm just focused on winning here.
You seem pretty intent there in kind of where your head's at. And I was going to ask you whether that noise you heard on the other night could have changed anything, but it seems that that didn't change anything. It just reaffirmed how you feel about it.
Yeah, no, I just reassured everything, and yeah, like I said, it was special. You know, you had to be in the stadium to really understand, you know, and feel the noise and energy that they brought that night for me. So I'm really grateful, and yeah, like I said, I just want to win here, and that's my focus now.
Hi, Bakari. You've had some amazing moments, but Arsenal played in finals for England. But is this game against Madrid and knockout stages of Champions League something you dreamed of as a kid and a young player coming through?
Yeah, most definitely. It's a very big night, and the stakes are high against one of the best teams in the competition. So I think it's a game that I definitely want to be involved in.
And I know you've spoken about coming back, but how do you feel sharpness-wise? Do you feel as you were before you came on, or still need some more minutes to get back up to where you were before you had your injury?
No, I feel good. Obviously, you can't define nature. You need to obviously get on the pitch, get your minutes up. But I'm feeling good, and the last 2 games I felt like I've gone from strength to strength.
Hi, Bakari. Obviously, when you approach this match, we know the occasion, we know how much your career has meant for you and your family, and even in your faith that you've had goal. When it comes to the pressure and remaining calm, you've seen you perform and carry this Arsenal team when they need it the most. How do you approach that mentally before a match of maybe this caliber that you haven't played before?
It's a good question. I think for me, I'm always focused on doing what I'm in the team to do, and that's for me is making a difference in the final third. And I genuinely believe that if I do that, you know, the team is so good, and you know, the defenders are so good that we can score more goals than them basically. So my approach to each game is pretty similar. Obviously, some games the stakes are higher, like this one. But yeah, the approach is the same.
Okay, I know you've been keeping in touch with Thierry, and he's been offering you words of advice throughout this season before. What has been the sort of advice and inspiration he's offered to you going into a game like this?
I think for me, the biggest thing I take when I speak to Thierry is the confidence that he has, you know, in himself. Obviously, he gives me a few details on certain situations on the pitch and what he sees it and how he sees the game. But for me, I just, you know, when I speak to him, I like the way he's so confident, and you know, he genuinely believes that when he was on the pitch, no one could stop him. And I think with that belief, he literally just destroyed the league. So yeah, that's what I admire about him the most.
Have you let yourself dream about having a moment like he had in Bernabeu?
Yeah, of course. His moment was his moment. Obviously, here we want to write our own story, but yeah, something like that would be nice. Yeah.
Guy, you mentioned how proud you are of the way the club is bringing players through the Haaland Academy. And obviously, your injury allowed the opportunity for Ethan to play a little bit more football. And the way he's been curling the ball into the far corner is very Bukayo Saka-esque. Have you had any influence on him, do you think, during that period?
Yeah, Ethan will come and ask me questions from time to time, but I don't want to take anything away from him. I think he's an exceptional talent. He has that natural ability. And yeah, he's got a few similar qualities to me than in terms of he has got really good strike of the ball. So yeah, I'm just happy to see the way he's evolving, and I hope he continues.
Ed?
The manager was asked earlier about Madrid's front four and how much Arsenal are fearing them. Do you think that Arsenal have got plenty? Sorry, Madrid have got plenty to fear from Arsenal with you back in the team?
Yeah, 100%. I think just looking at our home record in the Champions League itself, I don't think we've lost a game in the last 2 seasons there. So I'm sure they know that, and yeah, they need to be ready because we're pretty good at the Emirates.
And do you sense, having come back into the team, you're obviously a big leader in this team. Do you feel that the rest of the players are now sort of galvanised, focused on the target to win this title?
Yeah, I think with or without me, the objective is the same, and it's to beat them and go to the next round. So I think, yeah, with me coming back, it's still the same focus.
Right, just going back to the contract, is that something you'd like to get done sooner rather than later, say this summer, so it's done and dusted?
I don't think anyone's really in a rush. I think I've got 2 years left on my contract, so it's pretty relaxed. Everyone knows my thoughts, and I've let you guys know as well. So I don't think there's any rush really.
And just in terms of tomorrow's match, obviously Real Madrid are the favourites, or people have them as the favourites. Do you guys feel like you're the underdogs, or do you take your own?
I don't even think at all down that way. I don't know.
James?
Hi, Mikhail. Obviously, tomorrow you're coming up against Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Jude Bellingham. These players who are in the mix for the Ballon d'Or every year. I mean, your numbers have been so good over the last 2 or 3 years. Do you feel you're getting to that level personally? Do you feel you should be in that conversation?
What conversation exactly?
For the Ballon d'Or, is it kind of a goal of yours to win it one day?
Yeah, it's a dream. I think it's a dream for a lot of players. And, yeah, I'm just working hard to do my best for my team, and any individual awards that come with it, you accept it.
You mentioned earlier about wanting to win things with Arsenal. Is part of getting to that level as an individual that you win things as a team?
Yeah, 100%, and that's why the focus is always on winning here first before anything else.
James?
Hi, Mikhail. I just want to ask you about your celebration on your comeback. We saw you head over to the bench and celebrate with Sam and the rest of the team. Was that something you thought about before the game, or something to come to you in the moment? And how crucial have they been to you over these last few months?
Yeah, so Sam Wilson and Ricky, they work really close with me in my rehab, every day. And the days that people didn't see, some days were tougher than usual, but they were always there pushing me. Unfortunately, Ricky couldn't make it. He had to be with his son on the night, so he wasn't in the stadium, because I always told them during the rehab that, if I did score, when I came back, I would come and thank them both. So, yeah, Sam was there, Ricky wasn't, so I went to obviously give Sam a hug, let him know that I appreciate all the efforts they put in with me.
And working with those guys, you built your minutes up, you played behind closed doors, and then half an hour, 45 minutes, within yourself, knowing your body and your mind, do you feel like now I'm ready to start?
Yeah, but there's only one way to find out.
Last couple on this side, go to Jordan.
Hi, Mikhail. Just back on likes of Vinicius Junior and Mbappe, how far away do you think you are from them in terms of the ability, the levels?
In terms of what, sorry?
How far away are you from those sorts of levels?
I think it's very opinionated. I think everyone will have something different to say, but yeah, I don't really want to start sitting here saying they're a level above me and stuff like this, because that's not the way I think, So I'll just leave everyone to have their opinion, but other things will speak for itself.
And just on your return, it kind of felt like a hero's return. Everyone's been waiting so long for you to come back. Is there that pressure on your shoulders now that you're seen as the hero of this team that's going to drag them through big games like this?
No, not at all. I think if we're going to win anything here, it's going to be a team effort. And I need my teammates as much as they need me, for sure.
You talked about your story and how this will be the biggest match potentially of your club career, but your international career, you got to 2 major finals, gone deep into the World Cup. Yourself and Decker's teammates have come up against many of these players, as will a lot of your international colleagues. How have those big occasions shaped the player that will go out? We've seen how your penalties have changed, how you just have nerves of steel during that, but how much have those journeys shaped the player you are going into a match like this against the Galactic?
I think it's just experience that you pick up. Obviously, sometimes you make mistakes, you learn from them. But yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So I think going into games like this, I'm definitely more equipped from playing all the big games that I've played in the past.
And Jude, have you had many conversations, and also from his change from playing at Dortmund to going to Real Madrid, we've seen how he's changed as a player, the rabble-rousing, the chatting, the gamesmanship on the pitch. Has he given you any insights, but does that give you an insight of what you're going to experience as well tomorrow night?
We've watched Real Madrid, we've analysed them. We know how good they are, and the quality that they possess in the final third. So yeah, we just have to be ready to do our best to deal with that, and obviously impose ourselves as well.
Have you had a chat with Jude about this?
I had a brief chat with him in the change room, but not much was said, to be fair. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Noah from Zero Sport Netherlands. I have a question about Jurriën Timber. So, what is it like playing alongside him on the right side? And he obviously knows what it's like to be injured for a while. Has he helped you at all in your recovery process?
Yeah, so Jurriën's a really top player, and I've really enjoyed playing with him, especially this season. We built a good connection. Very strong, good defender. He can attack as well, so he's pretty much very well all-rounded. And yeah, when I got injured, he was there for me. Anything I needed. Obviously, he knew how it was. I think he was really good with that in terms of, just keeping me involved, speaking to me and stuff like that. But it wasn't just him, a lot of the other players did the same for me, and that's why I say this team is a real family, and we can really do things together.
Making good luck now, just at the back of this yeah.
Hi, Bukayo. Vinicius has a very specific journey, not only shining on the pitch, but sometimes having to deal with off-the-pitch issues, racial abuse in some parts of Spanish fans. Is that a journey that you follow even more closely because of that as well? You follow his journey closely?
Yeah, I know him as a player, and I've seen the journey he's been on. And yeah, of course, some moments have been tough for him, but he's shown that he's bigger than all of that. So credit to him for that.
And last one, at the back.
Yeah. Hi, Bukayo. How difficult it is to explain to you as a player what Real Madrid does constantly, season after season, scoring in injury time, comebacks, penalty shootouts, winning the Champions League, which is a very difficult competition to win it so many times. How difficult it is to explain as a player?
I don't understand.
How can you explain as a player what Real Madrid does season after season in this competition?
Oh, yeah. I think we all know what they do, and we all watch a lot of their games, and we've seen the comebacks and the late wins that they've recovered. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen in this time.
Cool. We'll end it there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
I'll see you guys. Come on,
you.